We are live. We're live right now, Jacob. We're live.
What's that background you got? What's that background? That looks
Dude,
new.
I'm at Trophy Smack headquarters right now, man.
Oh,
I'm out here in Cali.
TSHQ.
Dude, let me show you real quick.
Oh, I'm not the only one podcasting from the Pacific time zone today.
Yeah, I'm Pacific.
Exciting.
So this is like that. There's a bowling alley behind. That's a bowling alley, and then we have all sorts of crazy stuff. The games, the arcades. Like, this is gonna be insane. This live draft, shuffleboard, like, it's nuts. It's nuts. I'm so ready for it. I'm so excited for it. Shout out to Trophy Smack for getting me out here, of course. Yeah, excited for this, man.
Awesome. I can roll.
You about ready to start the show? We good? We good?
I'm ready to rock, man. I'm ready to rock. Let's go.
I
just plugged in my fan, so I have a fan now beside me.
Nice. I'm hot.
So I can get a little bit of a little cool air.
That works.
I might even should I try? Can I wind blow my hair? Not really. Not really.
No.
Unfortunately.
Too much. There's a gnat on my screen. All right.
There's a gnat in here. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's do this thing. Let's go fishbowl. Let's go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
What?
Two shows without Shane. Someone's
New
got
show right off the bat. Once again, just like Shane.
Yeah, because
I know. Well, Shane is not with us tonight. I think he told us he's off eating his kids or something.
This fucking guy.
I know.
Man. He needs to get his priorities straight.
How are you going to do it? He does. He really does. I mean, we have things to talk about. We have things to do, and yet he's over there just. Who even knows what he's doing at this point? Probably on another Tinder date. He's now been on us like 3 of the past 5 shows. I mean, come on.
He's not even. I don't even know if he's a part of the show anymore. This is, the show 2.5 Men. This is 2.5 Men. This is our podcast. He's deserted us. It's unfortunate.
He's deserted us. It is so sad. You're the Charlie Sheen of fantasy intervention. No, but of course we have things to talk about. We have things to do. We have some exciting news coming up that we cannot release yet, but big things are happening. Of course, I'm just excited to talk about the Scott Fish Bowl and all this bizarre stuff that's happening. I mean, it is absolutely nuts where some of these people go in with their drafts and some of just the absurd routes that people are taking.
It's fascinating, man. I mean, we talked about it. I think it was last week when we did a Scott Fish Bowl mock draft. I talked about, my favorite thing about it is the optionality. People are taking the optionality to epic proportions. I've seen people draft 5 running backs before their first wide receiver. I've seen people draft 8 wide receivers before their first running back. I've seen people draft 2 tight ends in the first 2 rounds. I've seen people go 0 QB, take every quarterback. It's fun. I'm getting so jealous. The people I'm the most jealous of, I don't know about you, people that I'm the most jealous of are the people who are getting the 2 Konami quarterbacks or star quarterbacks at the 1-2 turn. I've seen my buddy Eric Bimfor got Kyler and Lamar.
God, that's
the 1-9. That's absolutely redonkulous. I've seen people
That's the latest he's gone, I think. Or it had to be the 1-10. Oh, wait, maybe he has a new one. I'll look it up real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, he has the 1-9. You got Kyler and Lamar. Maybe I'm slightly wrong, but on which quarterbacks. I think it was Kyler and Lamar. For sure, Kyler in the first round. I think he got Lamar in the second round. I've seen stuff I've seen Hurts and Lance round 2-3 with CMC before. That was Jared Smol's team. So the people that are getting these quarterbacks that I love really late, those are the people I'm the most jealous of right now. But we'll see what it's like. We're doing the live draft, so it's all going to have to come at me real quick.
Yeah, it is. We talked about Trey Lance, right? And his late pick. me go up to the quarterback position. I mean, Trey Lance fell to like 50-something, 52 in one of the drafts. He's gone as early as the fifth quarterback and as late as the 57th.
I would chop my dick off to get Trey Lance 52nd overall.
Did you hear Josh Allen went 5th overall in, oh God, was it Jacksonville, Florida? It was one of the Florida drafts. Like, that's nuts.
It was, oh my God, it was St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah, St. Petersburg. It was.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess St. Petersburg is named after a Russian city, right? So maybe Josh Allen performs worse in the Eastern Bloc. Maybe that's the thinking. I'm not sure. Behind the Iron Curtain, they don't count as yards.
Oh my God, I can't.
That's the best.
Dude,
what's more rational, that Josh Allen scores less points in Russia, or that four people just decided to pick a non-Josh Allen player in the Scott Fish Bowl? Insanity. I mean, I'd pick 5th overall. If I got Josh Allen 5 overall, I would be like jumping up and down with glee.
Yeah, I'm excited. By the way, Balls is Live said live draft. We're doing the live draft here at the Trophy Smack headquarters, where you guys can see a little of the warehouse. Y'all can see part of the game room and whatnot. I'm very excited. Whoa! I'm very excited for that. I almost lost my camera there. Of course, I am doing the podcast from my Jerry Riggs laptop, so I apologize to all those who don't get the sound quality, or really the video quality of me at home. But still, I look damn good. I always do. But anyways, of course, Jamie brings up pizza, beer, and my favorite guys talking football. Thank you for coming in, Jamie. Of course. Yep, Gator J is right about Shane, of course, dating the 5 girl today. Oh, man. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of these strategies and where some people might sit right now. So I have seen some 0 RB strategies that were sent to me through the Trophy Smack account, and I couldn't find a single, or I'm sorry, not 0 RB, 0 QB strategies, right, where they're fading the quarterback in the draft late. I couldn't find a single one that I actually liked, because when they actually presented it to me, they were still reaching for quarterbacks because they felt like they weren't going to get a single one. Like, I saw one where Davis Mills had go in the 4th round, right? And then who was another one? So have you seen a fading quarterback strategy that you actually liked, whether it's fading one quarterback, fading both quarterbacks? Have you seen anything where it actually works out to their favor?
I haven't, because I think that it's similar to what I talk about sometimes with folks that are trying 0 running back for the first time, where I tell them, like, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Where I've seen some people, it's like, oh, okay, it's the 5th round, I'm going 0 RB, like, now I need to take David Montgomery. It's like, no, at that point you should just draft running backs in the 1st round. Like, you shouldn't be drafting these dead zone backs because you're scared. If you're committed to going 0 QB, you've embraced a high risk, high reward strategy. Right? You are straddling the line. You are fire dancing. You are a trapeze artist at this point. You have to embrace the high risk, high reward of your strategy. That means pushing it further than you want to, because all you do, if you allow, like, I presume if you're doing a 0 quarterback strategy, probably part of the reason why is because the quarterbacks probably went a little earlier than usual in your draft, right? Let's say that's probably a reason. You're like, oh, I'm not going to draft the quarterbacks. They're going way too high. Well, think about it like an avalanche, right? It's like this avalanche is tumbling down the mountain. Either you need to get out ahead of it, or you're going to get buried underneath it. And the only way around it is maybe if you could just sort of hunker down in the snow, wait for it to pass over. But the issue is, to me, a lot of times people are waiting. And then, like you said, it's like, oh, I got to get Davis Mills now. I got to get Mac Jones now. And so you're taking these lesser quarterbacks, like, egregiously in front of ADP, when you could have just gotten out of this problem by taking Russell Wilson like 2 picks ahead of ADP. So I'm not a fan of it. If you're going to do it, I think you got to wait longer than you want to. You have to abandon whatever quarterback your line is for which one you're particularly comfortable with. Take whichever ones the room gives you. I do think we've seen this in dynasty drafts and redraft leagues, all sorts of things. In these super flex drafts, the teams that take the 2 quarterbacks early, especially in Scott Fish Bowl because there's no trading, they are going to have to address other positions. Right? They are going to have to address other positions. So I do think you can wait it out. And grab those quarterbacks late. It just might not be the ones you want. So I'm okay with it personally if you take like 1 quarterback early, wait out QB2. We saw that in the mock where I waited a long time on QB2. I got Goff and Winston. I thought at pretty reasonable prices. But yeah, the big mistake I'm seeing is what you're saying. People taking these mid-round quarterbacks that really should be late-round quarterbacks.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, we're seeing guys like Carson Wentz and Marcus Mariota. I mean, Marcus Mariota went as high as like 34th. Carson Wentz went 32nd. So I'm sure that people are reaching because they start to feel so insecure at a certain point. But the real question is like, all right, when do you end up like feeding the quarterback position? And Derek Carr has been an interesting topic because I think that Derek Carr is actually the perfect quarterback for this type of league. And so what you have to do is you have to balance, right? You have to balance the value of what the super flex position would be versus what you would actually put in that position if you didn't have a quarterback that was consistent. Because if you're throwing under a 66% completion rate, you're going to be losing points. And if you're throwing a lot, like, if you're a quarterback that's seeing, 35, 40 attempts a game and you're seeing below a 64% completion rate, like a Marcus Mariota could end up seeing, where we're talking about a guy who, like, his team's going to be losing, right? He's going to have to, throw the ball. He doesn't have the best receivers in the world. Marcus Mariota could easily see 35 attempts per game minimum and have a 62% completion rate. And all of a sudden, you're probably talking about negative points in the Scott Fishbowl, and that's not including throws and interceptions.
On the table. Yeah.
So why would you even draft Marcus Mariota in the first place? Now, I understand that there is a value at a certain but he's in a good division with great defenses, so you're not going to be able to play him at least 6 games this season, minus the other games that they're scheduled against. So, I mean, you got to take into effect, like, why would you even take this guy? And I understand that the first half point per first down can end up helping, but what are they going to run for? Like 30 first downs in a season, 50? I think we talked about it in the last episode. I mean, the top quarterback was like 50 or something like that. So that's 25 points that you're getting in the whole season to counterbalance this negative score, and it's just not worth it. So Derek Carr, let's go back to Derek Carr real quick, because he completed 68.5% of his completions of his passes last season. He saw a career high 626, I believe, attempts. I mean, this is a guy who could absolutely smash moving forward in this draft because of the settings, because of the scoring. I mean, you're talking about just off the completion rate alone, like the completions. I mean, he could get a bonus 5, 6, 7 points per week, not including what he's going to get off his yardage and off of his touchdowns and off of his first downs that he runs for, which, might be 3, 4, 5. So that's not even really a factor. But when it comes to that, like, there's a lot of criticism for Derek Carr being selected in the second round, and I'm cool with Derek Carr in the second round. I'm going to take him. If he makes it to me in the mid to late second round, I'm taking him almost every time.
I don't have a problem with Derek Carr in the second round. I would even consider Derek Carr in my draft at 2.8. We'll see who else is there, but it would be something I'd consider. I would be jacked up if I could get him at 3.5. That's for sure. And I think it's totally reasonable to take him round 2. I have like this theory, which is like somewhere between, there's like this ever living debate between Rick Rode and Peter Howard, and I live like somewhere halfway between it, but basically it's like, I think there's like a certain tier of quarterback where they become just a function of weapons and coaching scheme. And it's like this tier from like a Matt Ryan to a Tannehill, all the way up to like Carr to Cousins to Matt Stafford. And like maybe the top end of that is Dak Prescott, where I really don't think that the fantasy value of these guys is extremely intrinsic to them. And we're seeing a lot of switches in the situations. We see Dak Prescott lose a major piece in Amari Cooper. They don't really replace it with anything. He also loses Gallup, who's been a piece there for probably the first month of the season. We'll see how he comes back, what he looks like. We even see Tom Brady, who's, of course, a tier above, but he loses a lot from last year's team. He loses Gronk. He's probably losing Godwin for a portion of the season. They downgrade AB to Russell Gage. And then you see a guy like Carr, where he gets a new coaching staff in. I think Gruden, like, for all of his faults as a human being, is actually a pretty good offensive coach. So I think him and McDaniels is pretty much neutral. But what's not neutral is getting the best wide receiver in the NFL. He gets Waller back healthy, who missed about a lot of last season. He was either hurt out or he was beat up, coming back playing injured. And then you get Renfro shifted into the number 3 chair. It's a phenomenal situation. So I view Carr the same way I would view Dak and Matt Stafford this season, to be honest with you. And I would honestly rather have him than Aaron Rodgers. So I'm seeing Rodgers go in the late first. I'm seeing Stafford and Dak at the 1-2 turn. I think if you're comfortable drafting those guys, the late first, the 1-2 turn, you should be comfortable drafting Carr in the second round. I don't think that they're fundamentally different. So, like, I think, sure, if you want to say, I don't need Carr in the second, I'll take Goff in the 6th. Okay, I'm here for that. But I'll say this. I don't want to take Dak in the 1st if I can get Carr in the 2nd.
Yeah, 100%, because Carr's going to be putting up very close to the same numbers. in what should be, as dynamic of an offense with better weapons. I mean, last year, I think Derek Carr was still top 12 in overall points finished for the Scott Fish Bowl, and sacks don't count this year. So, I mean.
And last year, he had, what was it, a month that he was throwing to, after the Ruggs situation happened.
Yeah.
Right?
And Waller's hurt.
And then Waller's hurt. It's like he has Renfro, he has Foster Moreau, he has Brian Edwards.
Hey, don't say Foster Moreau.
Zay Jones, Deshaun Jackson. It was awful. And you saw his numbers go off a cliff in efficiency after it was in back-to-back weeks where Waller gets hurt and they lose Ruggs. And the offense really fell off at that point. This year they're getting, an upgrade on where it was at the start of the year when Carr was just crushing. So I'm quite into Derek Carr in every possible format, but especially 6 touchdown formats, completion percentage formats. He's going to be really good in this system.
So you brought up Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers, to me, it's mind blowing as to why people are going out and drafting him. This offense, they want to slow it down. They want to run the ball a ton. Even if he does have a high completion rate, he's not going to rack up a ton of points because he's probably going to pass maybe 35 times a game this upcoming season. He's going to see a lot of positive game script because that defense is dominant. I mean, we're not going to end up seeing Aaron Rodgers put up a high number of points, especially for the system. Now, I understand he's a stable rock, right, and a good QB2, but I do not understand drafting him as your QB1 if you're trying to win the Scott Fish Bowl. Is he ever going to put up enough points in a week to win you a fantasy league? You're good. Is he ever going to put up enough points in a week to win you a fantasy league? And I just don't think that's the case.
No, I mean, the way that I think about this is you have to think about the people that you're drafting in, not just in your league, but in all the leagues, right? And it's one thing to maybe look at Carr and say he's better than the other options available, but think about functionally how this is going to wind up playing out. Teams at the front of the first round are drafting Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, that's what they're bringing into the fight. If you draft Aaron Rodgers in the end of the first, that's what you're bringing into the fight. How much of an advantage are you really going to get from the early second to the late second, from the early third to the late third? Okay, I don't know, maybe you get a marginally better running back. At that point, probably McCaffrey, Taylor, and Kelsey are off the board. So it's you get your choice out of Eckler and Cook and Najee and whatever. You get your choice out of Chase, Person, and Cup, and then the other people at the back just get that bottom of that tier. Big whoop. That's not nearly as big of a difference. So you're just setting yourself up in a way worse position. I would much rather flip the build. If you're saying, okay, top of the first round, they get the elite quarterbacks, so they're going to have the advantage at quarterback. Well, I'm not just going to cede the advantage at quarterback and then move on like nothing happened. I'm going to take the advantage somewhere else. I'll take Taylor or McCaffrey or Kelsey. At least I'm getting the advantage at one of the other positions of scarcity where, okay, you win at quarterback. You have Mahomes. I'm going to have whoever. I'm going to have maybe Carr, right? But you're not matching my production at tight end, or you're not matching my production at running back when I put out Taylor or McCaffrey or Kelsey, because you can't get that guy from the top of the draft if you're drafting a Mahomes or a Josh Allen. So I think it's a losing strategy to take Carr or Dak at the end of the first, where you're essentially just ceding a major advantage at the most important position, and you're not really generating it anywhere else. If I'm going to take a quarterback there, I would rather take my risks to floor and bet on like a Trey Lance or a Jalen Hurts and just hope that they give you enough passing along with the rushing that they can compete with the Kylers and the Lamars. I don't think it's necessarily likely, but to me, that's a lot more possible than with Aaron Rodgers. I see his ceiling is very capped.
All right, so let's talk about another running back who, dude, this guy actually went second overall, which is absolutely like insane to me. It blows my mind. But when it comes to Derrick Henry, I mean, what are we supposed to do with this guy in
the the big dog.
Oh man! Wait, what's happening right now? God,
I'm barking.
Dude, second overall though in the Scott Fish Bowl. Like, where are you building? What are you doing at this point? Like, I feel like in order to make this successful, you are playing for Week 17.
Big dog, baby. It's the big dog.
Oh my God, dude!
What, you gonna fade the big dog?
Is there any world where it's okay to take Derrick Henry second overall in this draft?
I'm not taking Derrick Henry.
You don't think that he can rack up a bunch of first downs enough to him actually like a decent fantasy?
He can. Yeah, you certainly can.
Jonathan Taylor's 107 that he had last year.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the Derrick Henry that you got for the first 6 weeks last year at 28 with a metal foot, and he does that, and then he somehow stays healthy for all 17 games, then congrats, you'll win the Scott Fish Bowl. Is that the bet that I would like to make? It's not. I would prefer to make other bets, but, anything's possible.
All right, so if you had to do Derrick Henry at the 2 spot or Najee Harris at the 3 spot, because that happened too. Najee Harris went number 3 overall. Okay,
give me the big dog. Yeah, because Derrick Henry is flashed Scott Fish Bowl winning upside, right? I don't think it's going to happen again. I don't think it can sustain over the course of a full season because your body will just break down. But the first 6 weeks of last year, Henry was an absolute force. I don't think that Najee, frankly, just has the talent for that, right? He's not an explosive enough player. He's not a guy like Henry where if you give him enough 3-yard runs into the middle, that 1 out of every 20 is going to be an 80-yard touchdown. Najee Harris has not shown any ability to do that at any time in his college or NFL career. He's a volume accumulator. So Harris is fine. I wouldn't be taking him in the first round. He's certainly not a part of my draft plan. I think he's fine enough if you get him in the middle of the second or something. I certainly wouldn't.
I wouldn't even touch him in the second. That would have to be a 4th-round pick for me. Holy shit.
Well, he won't be on my team in the second, but I'm not going to flame you if you take him in the second. If you take him 3rd overall, I think you're a jabroni. That's for sure.
So let me go ahead and let's go ahead and talk about how we can fix some of these teams as well. I didn't do it with the quarterback position. Maybe we can go back to it and towards the end of the episode. But if you took a running back early, right, that early, you have to believe that your running back is going to carry your entire team and most likely should not spend another pick on a running back. I know that people are doing that when they make dumb decisions because they want to prove how running back heavy they are. Some people are just knuckleheads that guy FF_RTDB that just stick to their guns when it comes to, trying to prove a point. But it's insane to me how some of these people will try to end up overspending. So if you did overspend on a player, typically you want to try and fade that position to make sure that you can grab other positions and fill in your roster. So let's take a couple of these guys that I'm looking at the ADP for and see which ones you would rather fill in your roster with if you made a dumb decision of drafting Derrick Henry at the 102. Let's go ahead and let's say James Cook or Ronald Jones. Would you take a shot on either one of these guys? And even if you wouldn't, which one would you rather have if he ended up slipping a couple rounds and you got him at value?
I'd rather have Ronald Jones in this format. This is a format that really rewards the rushing aspect of the running back position. And I think that these guys are almost entirely different buckets where they both play in elite offenses. So the upside's high in that regard, but they're both limited players. James Cook is likely going to be a passing down option. Ronald Jones is going to be a rushing option. And Scott Fish Bowl, that's just what's more rewarded. So I would prefer Ronald Jones in that scenario to James Cook. But I think both are interesting enough targets, especially if you're doing a 0 or hero RB type of build.
All right. I like it. Let's go ahead and do one more of these real quick. Let's say, which ones do I want to go with here? Let's go with Kenneth Gainwell or Tyler Algier. Both have passed to where they can actually be the starting running back on their team. One, the offense is a lot better than the other. One player is a little more athletic than the other. However, one role could actually be more rewarding than the other, especially if he's used at the goal line on a consistent basis. So which one would you rather take if they ended up falling to you at a value? Kenneth Gainwell or Tyler Algier?
I prefer Tyler Algier. I'm open-minded to both of these guys. Both these guys are guys that I take pretty frequently in best ball, especially just being, more inclined towards 0 and hero RB drafting. Both these guys, I'm sure will make it into my queue at some point on Sunday when I'm in my Scott Fish Bowl draft, the way that I tend to draft. But Algier's the one I prefer. I just think Miles Sanders, as much as we rag on him, we haven't seen anything to suggest that as long as he's healthy, he's not the lead back. Maybe he'll see pass down looks, stuff like that, but he's going to be there. I think with Cordarrelle Patterson, he's a little bit more of a wild card. He's a 31-year-old player. What is his true role? Is it really being the lead running back, or is it more of a hybrid role? We're not quite sure yet. And Algier's a more prototypical running back. The one thing I'm pretty certain of I'm more certain maybe that Gainwell has a role as the passing down back, and that's cool. But if I'm looking for that league winning upside, I think Algier can be the lead back without an injury. And I don't have any concerns that Algier can handle the lead rushing aspect of a job if he gets thrust into that. We saw last year that when Sanders went down, they didn't go to Gainwell. They went to Boston Scott. They kept Gainwell in the satellite role. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case this year, but it's at least a risk. I mean, it's literally what happened last year. So I don't think you can just rule out the possibility that Miles Sanders gets hurt. You're excited to plug Gainwell into your lineups. And, look what happens. It's Boston Scott once again, or they re-sign Jordan Howard or whatever else. So I would just prefer to bet on the guy who I think has more of the conventional skill set.
Yeah, I like that concept. And I mean, he was he ended up leading the league over the past 3 college seasons in yards after contact. I think he was like top 3 in broken tackles, average or yards after contact per touch. He was up there as well. So, he's a guy that can actually get physical, and that's what we like to see from these types of offenses, especially the wide zone run scheme. He doesn't have the burst we want to see, but we'll see where that ends up going. I just looked at the wide receivers and my face went like, I'm sure people notice it. Like, what the hell is he looking at? Because my face, I haven't looked at the wide receivers yet. Oh my God, this is absolutely insane. All right. So Cooper Kupp, I want you to guess the latest he's gone in a draft.
Oh my God. I mean, people do weird things.
The latest he's gone in a draft. So 12 people would have to do a really weird thing.
That's true. I'll say like 208.
Not too far off, but 28th overall.
How could he? How would he make it to the 304?
Dude, his average ADP.
How many wide receivers were taken in front of him? Like
his average ADP over the last 5 drafts that have registered is actually the 206. His average ADP overall is 14. So what about Justin Jefferson? What do you think is the latest he's gone?
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that late, but now that you said that Cooper Kupp went at 304, I mean, it's kind of.
Hey, let's hear it in the chat. Hey, let's hear it in the chat too. I want to see the chat guess.
I'll say like 307 then.
Okay, so Justin Jefferson actually went. His latest draft spot is 1 spot before Cooper Kupp at 27 overall. So what? Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, so let's give the draft a chance, or the chat a chance to answer this as well. Jamar Chase, what is the latest that Jamar Chase has gone? And let's go with the earliest too. So Cooper Kupp's earliest is the 1st overall, and Justin Jefferson's is 2nd overall. So what do you think Jamar Chase's earliest draft pick has been?
I'll guess first. Jamar Chase is fun and exciting. I'll bet that someone pulled the trigger 1st overall.
Nope. 6th overall is the earliest he's gone.
Interesting.
Which is even more bizarre because, that's crazy. So what is?
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't go 6th overall to be clear, but I just thought some crazy person would take him even higher than that.
Would take him, because Cooper Kupp went 1st and Justin Jefferson went 2nd. So it's just crazy that Jamar Chase hasn't gone 1st. All right,
where's the latest he's gone? Yep. I'm gonna say the 212. I can't see 12 managers passing on him twice just because he's such a shiny new toy.
32nd overall.
That is insanity. Insanity. Can this be in my draft? Can I
please? Oh my God.
Do you have any idea how fired up I would be to take Jamar Chase in the 3rd round? Oh my gosh. Watch my freaking room. It's gonna be like, oh look, this is the latest David Montgomery's gone. I'll be like, oh awesome. It's what a value.
Let us know in the chat if you want us to do a couple more of this because I find it kind of entertaining, but I don't want to bore people. I'll do like 2 more. We'll go with I don't know. Let's go with the earliest and latest for Devontae Adams.
The latest or the earliest? Sorry.
Let's go both of them. The latest and the earliest.
I'll say the earliest is like 110, and I'll say the latest is like 402.
110 and the 402. So what would the 402 be? That's what?
That's 40, the 38th.
38th, yeah. So the latest is the 45th, and the earliest is the 12th.
Okay, that's pretty close on that one.
Yeah, that was actually close. All right, I got one more for you, and then we'll hop off this segment. What is the earliest and the latest for? Let's do Brandon Cooks.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay. People are stoked on Cooks. I mean, this is the crazy one where it's like I don't even know where his normal ADP is. I wouldn't even hazard a guess. I would guess it's probably like round 6 or 7.
I'll give you his average ADP. Give me 1 second. His average ADP is 72nd.
Okay, so I nailed that. Round 7. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So I'll say that someone took him in somewhere in like round 4. I'll say that the highest is like pick 42, and the latest would be pick 101.
Okay, you got really close to the latest pick. The latest pick is 94th.
Okay.
The earliest pick is 21st overall.
What are people doing with their teams?
Oh my God, this is so much fun to look at.
What are people doing?
We're using spikeweek.com/SFB if anybody was curious. It's put together by @Josh_ADHD. He does this every year. It's really, really cool to sit back and look at all this stuff and compare ADPs. It's spikeweek.com/SFB, and it's put on by, once again, @Josh_ADHD.
Oh, so, by the way, like I'm this is obviously not an ad, but like it's Fantasy Adventure. We don't have a comparable tool. I'll just shout out, like we do a lot of best ball content on here. The Spike Week Draft IQ tool is absolutely awesome, and I love it. And Eric's like a really good guy in the industry, so I just want to give a quick shout out to Eric and everything he's got going on Spike Week. If anyone joins the Spike Week Discord and loves best ball, you'll see me in there too. So,
oh, awesome, that's cool.
A totally unsolicited shout out to good guy Eric,
dude. And by the way, side note, let's go ahead and do an ad. If you guys want to go support our show, of course, and you want to go support Trophy Smack because they're throwing so much money at this charity event. We're hoping to raise, probably close to double figures, or I should say 5 figures in terms of the charity for the live draft itself. Go check out TrophySmack.com, and if you purchase a belt or a trophy, you can actually get a ring for free. You just got to make sure the ring is in the cart with the trophy or the belt. Just use promo code CIRCLE when you go to checkout, and that will actually register you for the free ring if you purchase a trophy or a belt. You can obviously tell it's been a minute, and I've been working since 4 a.m. So once again, go to TrophySmack.com, purchase a belt or a trophy. Make sure the ring is in the cart with it, and you'll get the ring for free. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some of these late round guys that can actually win you leagues. And I'm a big believer in Chris Olave. I mean, there's a chance that Michael Thomas doesn't play. I mean, he sat out training camp. I know we want to hope for Michael Thomas to play, but it's not looking good. I mean,
we got great news today.
Oh, did we? I missed it.
Nick Underhill, who is like the preeminent Saints reporter, said everything he's hearing is optimistic about Michael Thomas being ready for week 1.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
So,
but we still haven't seen him practice.
We haven't seen him practice, but Nick's been saying that the goal all along has been to have him ready for the start of training camp. He said that today everything he's been hearing is optimistic in that regard. So I'm feeling pretty good about Michael Thomas today. I've been waiting for a report like that because you're right. It is nothing has come out that's particularly positive. This is like the first like good piece of news. It's not like a definitive piece of news or anything like that, but it's something positive. It's the first something we've heard this positive of Michael Thomas in about 2 years. So, we'll take it. Or are you going to ask about Thomas?
I was about to ask you too. I was about to say, what is his earliest pick and what's his latest pick?
Oh, I bet there's a range.
It's a range. It's probably the biggest range on here.
Okay, well, first I'm going to guess his average because that's like a little bit easier for me to do, and then I can gauge it from there. I'll say that. So Cooks was 77. So Thomas for sure would go a little later than that. I would guess that his average range.
Cooks was 72.
No, it's 77.
No, Cooks was 72.
It was 72. No, well, then you lied to me.
I said 7. Why would I say 77?
Well, if it was 72, I would have made such a big deal of that because I said he was going to go with the 6-7 turn, and the 72 is literally 6.12. So I would have been so pleased with myself. Anyway, I think that Michael Thomas, I think his ADP is like 108.
His ADP is actually 95, 94.6.
Oh, people are a little more stoked on MT than I thought they'd be. Okay. So you said 95. So I'm going to guess at the earliest he's gone to some homer, probably Cooter. is because people are insane, is like 33, and I'm gonna guess the latest is late. Like I'm gonna guess that it's like 138.
Okay, so you're too low on the over, but you're too high on the under. It was actually 56 is the lowest he's been drafted, and 152.
152.
152. That's pretty
I'll
much a
take
free
my
player.
shot on Michael Thomas at
Holy
152.
shit. That's a free player at that point.
I will take Michael Thomas for the cost of like John Mechie.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about Chris Olave real quick, because Chris Olave is a guy that I think could actually shine. His ADP right now is at 118, and I think he's a guy that could actually help fix your rosters if you ended up spending not enough picks at wide receiver. If you went too heavy on the running back position, Chris Olave could be that guy that steps up and fills into that role. So would you rather have, like, if you ended up going too running back heavy, where you went like 4 running backs and all your first picks, and you need a starter at the wide receiver position? I'm not talking about a flex option. I'm not talking about a guy that you can play, when the matchup's right. I'm talking about a guy that could help fill out your roster and be a starting wide receiver. Would you rather have Chris Olave or let's do Tyler Lockett, because they're actually really close in ADP somehow.
Would I rather have Olave or Lockett? I would probably rather have. That is a hard one. I think I'd rather. Okay, my answer is I think I'd rather have Olave in the Scott Fish Bowl, where a lot of it is weighted to the end of the season, because that's just how we tend to see with like rookies and older players. We tend to see that older players start here and kind of decline, and we see that rookies go up as the season goes along. So I think, like, if I made the playoffs, and ultimately when you're drafting these picks, and probably I'm going to guess both these guys are going in like the 8th, 9th round, maybe 10th round.
11, 12, and 11, 18.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what's 11, 18?
I mean, I'm sorry, 118. It's been a long day. And I'm about to go watch an Angels game with Coach Bruce too. So
that's awesome. Okay, so they're going in the 10th round. So yeah, if I'm drafting in the 10th round, like I'm drafting, like, these aren't the guys that are getting me to the playoffs. I'm looking for upside later, right? Like, these aren't foundational pieces. So it kind of depends. You know, like if I'm building a robust running back team, I probably want Lockett because I need those wide receiver points out of the gate. With the way that I tend to build my teams, a wide receiver I'm taking around 10 probably is like my 6th or 7th wide receiver. So I'm not looking for a week 1 starter. I'm looking for a guy that can be my late
robust RBs. We're trying to fix these rosters, Jacob. We're trying to fix the guys who are hardcore RB.
If you went robust, if you went D Hember round 1, Najee round 2, Nick Chubb round 3, you're like dissolving your testosterone pills in your protein smoothie before you go to work, then I would want Tyler Lockett, because then it's probably like my wide receiver 2. So I need those points early in the season, baby.
I like that, man. I do like Olave a lot. I think that he could be a league winner. So for those drafters that have multiple wide receivers, and now you're taking, a tertiary pick for your flex position, or you need some upside where you can, figure out which weeks you want to play them, I think Olave is the answer. But if you went heavy on the running back and you need to fix your rosters, you need to get guaranteed points. I think that happens with Tyler Lockett a lot more often than it's going to happen with Olave. Olave's a pick. Let's go with guys that have back-to-back ADP. Actually, I'm going to throw in 3 here. Jacob. We're still fixing rosters, okay? So you don't have a ton of wide receivers on your roster. We need to make sure we fix it. Chase Claypool, Garrett Wilson, Kadarius Toney, all 3 are back-to-back. Which one are you taking?
All right, this is Garrett Wilson, Kadarius Toney, and who? I missed one.
Chase Claypool.
And Chase Claypool. Slot pool. I'll take the Joker.
We've expressed our love lately.
I'll take the young Joker.
You're not afraid. This could ruin your team, by the way. Like, if you don't get a wide receiver that produces, even a few weeks, like if young Joker ends up, spending half his time doing rap battles instead of actually.
All these guys would be like my wide receiver 6. That's why I
know they would. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. We need to fix these teams, baby. We need to fix these teams.
No, here's the thing. If you're sewered your team by taking like running backs early, way ahead of ADP, what you need is home runs. You need to make up ground. Young Joker has the opportunity to be a legitimate wide receiver 1 on one of the most pass-happy offenses in the league. That's in his range of outcomes. Is it a super likely part of his range? Probably not. But he flashed 32% target rate last year. That's obscenely high. If he's anything near that guy, if that's actually him, if he's like a 25% target share guy, and the Giants pass like we think they're going to, based on Dable's history, based on their personnel that they've signed, like that's 150 targets, right? That's in his range of outcomes. It's a tail outcome, but it's in his range of outcomes to perform like a round 4 wide receiver this year. Take the Joker. Like his ceiling is just way higher, I think, than the others because of the ambiguity of his situation and what he was able to show.
I don't know, man. I got to take the guy who's actually, related to a boss or connected to a boss, and Zach Wilson, man. Did you see his tweet that he put out earlier today?
I did not. What did he do? What did he talk about?
It said I've been out in the mountains all week. What did I miss? After the whole shenanigans went down with his mom's friend and all that, he's like, what did I miss? Because he didn't have cell phone reception. It's pretty awesome. But I mean, we're talking about a guy in Garrett Wilson who is now going to be tethered to a quarterback who needs to step up in an offense that's going to be losing, or going to be down more often than not. I think that Garrett Wilson is somebody that offers you not only a high ceiling, but a high floor as well. And I'm not even a Garrett Wilson guy. He's been growing on me lately. If I want to swing for the fences, though, I think I'm taking Chase Claypool over top of Young Joe. And I'm a Kadarius Toney guy.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm now the Kadarius Toney guy on the show. No, you've abandoned your position, clearly.
Bullshit. I think
you abandoned it. You abandoned your position. I guess you're the Claypool guy. That's fair. You could be the Claypool guy. That's good.
And actually, I wasn't the Claypool guy. Well, when he first came to the NFL, I liked him, but I didn't love him. Kadarius Toney still has a
You're the Riddler.
But if you need wide receivers, right? Like, there's a good chance that Kadarius Toney could give you 2 weeks and then not play again the rest of the season. I don't see that outcome for Chase Claypool. I don't see that outcome for Garrett Wilson. So, yes, Kadarius Toney could have the best 2 weeks of the whole season out of those guys, but that might be the only ones that he plays. And the Scott Fishbowl, I don't want to take that chance. I'll save it for my portfolio teams in my best ball, where I'll be selecting them all the freaking time.
Coward.
Dude, I don't.
Coward.
I'll take it, but I also want to end up making it to the finals in the Scott Fishbowl and having a shot to actually get there. So that's my take on it. Let's go ahead and go with another couple of wide receivers, and then we'll move on to the tight end position. Let's do 2 guys that are in weird situations. Let's do DeAndre Hopkins and Russell Gage. So Russell Gage is stacked up behind, of course, Chris Godwin, who could be ready by week 1, but more likely be ready by week 4-ish if he's not on the PUP list. We have DeAndre Hopkins, who's dealing with suspension. I'm sorry, we have Mike Evans, of course, who's going to command a lot of targets. Rob Gronkowski's retired, most likely. So Russell Gage could give us a bunch of weeks that are decent up front, but I mean, is he really going to pull it, down for us once the playoffs come along? And is he going to provide in the stretch like DeAndre Hopkins could provide in the stretch if you make it to the playoffs? How are you feeling about DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a little bit tricky because it depends on your build, I think, with all these guys. But I'm likely going to want to take one of Hopkins or Godwin on my team in terms of looking for ways that I can get a hammer in those playoff weeks. But like I said, I'm drafting a lot of wide receivers early, or at least I plan to. We'll see what the room dictates. But yeah, it's a hard thing where if I'm chasing it, if I'm drafting a lot of running backs early and I'm not getting my quarterbacks necessarily, then I have to take my quarterbacks in mid rounds. I don't want to take Hopkins or Godwin as my wide receiver too, right? Because it forces my hand with what I have to do with the rest of my picks. If I'm taking Godwin or Hopkins that high and I know that I can't rely on them early in the season, it means I don't necessarily feel like I have the freedom to take guys like a Sky Moore later, or or take flyers on a Jahan Dotson or even an Alec Pierce later down the board. It means that I'm going to be taking Jarvis Landry's and Devontae Parker's and guys sort of filling in those early weeks because I'm, allocating significant capital among my wide receivers to guys who won't play in September, and those weeks matter. So I think that those guys, frankly, fit better. It's weird. In best ball, I almost feel like those guys fit better on hyper fragile running back teams because you're drafting such a volume of wide receivers. But the big difference is in best ball, like, yeah, you just draft a bunch of guys late and you don't have to worry about who hits when, right? It's just like, oh, I'm drafting 10 wide receivers and we'll see who hits, hopefully one of them hits each week. But in Scott Fishbowl, because it's a managed team, like you got to put, at least 3 wide receivers in your lineup, potentially more than that. And if a guy's on the shelf, it really forces your hand. So the way that I want to draft, which is drafting a lot of the younger players, that's where I derive a lot of my upside, is drafting these younger profiles, year 1, year 2, more guys with uncertainty, like Kadarius Toney. I'm only going to be drafting a Hopkins or a Godwin if I already have wide receivers ahead of them, because I want to draft the Sky Moores, the Garrett Wilsons, the Kadarius Toneys, those kind of profiles with my later wide receiver picks. I don't want to have to default to these high floor safety options, taking, Bob Woods and Jarvis Landry and these guys. So yeah, I think there's multiple ways to play it. I'll be targeting them, but I think if you're in a spot where you don't have, kind of your wide receivers set up by the time you get there, probably not worth the risk, because it's going to limit what you can do later.
Yeah, I like that take. I think that's pretty clear. So let's move on to the tight end position, because tight ends are wild. Tight ends are freaking wild. Let's go with Mark Andrews. What do you think his earliest ADP is and his latest? Not ADP, but his pick. His ADP is sitting at 26.
Wait, did you say? Okay, did I mishear you, or did you say Rob Gronkowski?
Kyle Pitts.
You said Kyle Pitts? Okay. I like Kyle Pitts. I want Kyle Pitts. I don't know. No, I probably just had a stroke. That's all. I like Kyle Pitts. I want Kyle Pitts on my team. He's a blast. I think 26 is really reasonable. I mean, you look at where he's going in best ball right now. He's going in ADP at 32, and now we get a major tight end premium on top of that. Yep. I think that all the top tight ends are frankly being underdrafted. Shout out to Adiko _FF, who did a value over replacement graph for the Scott Fishbowl. It's similar to something that I actually did last year, but he frankly did a much better job. And it showed similar stuff to what I found, which is that tight ends are necessary. I think that you should be drafting one of the top 5 tight ends, and that probably has to happen in the first 3 rounds, maybe the 4th. So I think that you should be drafting Kyle Pitts at the 2-3 turn, and I would consider him as early as basically as soon as Mark Andrews is gone. I think Kyle Pitts is a reasonable pick at any point in time after Mark Andrews and Kelsey are gone.
So what's the earliest pick that you think in the Scott Fishbowl for Kyle Pitts? What's the first or the earliest pick?
Well, it's hard to say, because like my stance is that all the top tight ends are being undervalued, right? So in a vacuum, I think Pitts should be an early 2nd round pick. But
what do you think people did?
When was the earliest? I bet someone took him 101.
No, but you're close. 103.
Okay.
103 in the Scott Fishbowl. I was just about to say it might have been Shane, but I think Shane got the 101. Dude, did he not? He said he would draft Kyle Pitts at the 101. So Mark Andrews, in comparison, the earliest draft pick was 107. So what do you think is the latest pick for Kyle Pitts?
I think Kyle Pitts, I can't imagine he made it out of the 3rd round. I'll say 34.
42nd overall. It's the latest pick for Kyle Pitts in the Scott Fishbowl.
Baby. I would feel things in my body if I got to pick Kyle Pitts in the 4th. Who was that? Can you tell me who that was? Because I need to look up the rest of their team now and see if there's even a point in drafting, or if they've already won the Scott Fishbowl.
I can, but it would probably take me a minute because I don't remember exactly how to get there. I have found how to get there, but I don't remember.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Let's go with...
That's wild. Could you imagine if you got think about the draft you could have. If you draft quarterbacks the 1st and 3rd, you get Mahomes and Carr, or something like that, Mahomes and Cousins. And then you add McCaffrey in round 2, and then you get Pitts in round 4.
That person probably was the person that drafted Marcus Mariota at 21st or whatever it was.
Well, I hope so.
Oh my God!
Could you imagine? Be like, oh, look at that! I got my stack filled to me.
Shane said that he was going to, and then took.
Shane's a coward.
Yeah. Shane does Shane things. All right, let's go with Hawkinson, man. This is a pretty big difference. His ADP is 63. So what do you think his earliest one? What do you think the latest pick was?
ADP's 33.
Yep.
I'll say 52.
is the earliest.
Oh, I thought you said latest. So 52 is my guess for latest then. And then
but his ADP is 63.
Oh, at least you said, okay, I heard 33, and then I was like 33, and you were like, yep. Anyway, 63, then I will say the earliest is 29, and the latest is 81.
Sorry to everybody, I don't have my mics and everything hooked up yet. They will be hooked up for tomorrow for the Sirius XM show that I'm hosting. So excited about that. But yeah, what would you say was the earliest?
29. That's what I'll say for earliest, and I'll say 91 for latest.
You were actually really freaking close. 35 was the earliest.
Okay.
And then 90th was the latest.
Oh!
You missed about one spot. All right, let's go. There's one more that's really out there that we'll ask and land on that the tight end conversation. Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is average was 130. What is his earliest and what is his latest?
So his average is 130.
130.
Okay, I'll say latest is 164, and the earliest is, I don't know, 47.
Wait, what'd you say his latest was?
164.
God, 166. You almost. His earliest. You're gonna freak out when you hear this. All right, so in comparison, Dalton Schultz's earliest is 26. Hunter Henry's earliest, 28 overall.
What? Was that in the Boston draft? It must have been in the Boston draft.
Oh God, that's actually probably where it was. To be honest, I gotta find it, put it up. That is
those Patriots
crazy.
people, the homers.
The Knox. We got a question about Knox. Knox's earliest was 40th. His ADP is at 91, and his latest was 127. You might be the earliest, dude. Gator J might actually be the earliest. Gator J was in a live draft on the the SFB Podathon, and he went to go queue him up, and he accidentally hit draft instead of queue.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So he might be the earliest on Docs and Knox. I think it took him like third or fourth round.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of these late round tight ends. I know you said you want to draft the tight end top 5. Yeah. Let's just say that you skipped on tight end because if not, you had to reach. They were going way too early, right? They're going way too early. Meanwhile, you don't want to draft like Docs Knox because you're afraid of the touchdowns. Maybe somebody reaches for Zach Ertz, or maybe everybody's reaching. So you're stuck without or maybe you have 2 people going like bull tight end, which I freaking hate when you have two people
annoying. So
in
annoying.
The same draft going bull tight end, or even 3. I've seen 3 one time. So let's just say that you have all 9 tight ends off the board by 5th round. So you want to wait. Let's go with David Njoku or Evan Ingram. I think these 2 are really close, to be honest with you, but they're not as close in ADP.
I would rather have Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is my dude this year. He's just a guy that I'm planting my flag on. I mean, I just think we've seen Cleveland, they ran this 3 tight end committee, and then, they got rid of Hooper, so that's a positive. But Harrison Bryant was still running routes, and I think we're going to see more 11 personnel out of Cleveland. I mean, first of all, they've come out and said it, but second of all, they showed it with their actions, right? David Bell, he's a slot wide receiver. Every report about David Bell from camp is that he's been phenomenal. They drafted him in the 3rd round. That's a player they intend to use. So if you're using David Bell, you're using him in the slot. You're not using him outside because Donovan Peoples-Jones, as much as I make fun of him for fantasy, he serves a useful NFL role as a field stretcher. And if for whatever reason Donovan Peoples-Jones gets hurt or loses out in camp or whatever else, they have Anthony Schwartz, who's also a field stretcher. So to me, it's like one of those roles is Peoples-Jones, and if it's not Peoples-Jones, it's Schwartz. And then you have Cooper, of course. He's going to be on the other side, and you have Bell in the slot. So you can only have 1 tight end on the field. Does that mean they're just going to play Njoku all the time and demote Bryant to the bench? Well, maybe. I hope so. That would be great, but that's not really their history. So I envision Njoku as more of a 65 to 70% of routes type of guy, whereas Ingram, I think, is in a much better spot where if they're playing 11 personnel, he's going to be running all the routes, and then they could still use him in 12 personnel with Dan Arnold, where, they take Zay Jones off the field, kick Kirk outside with Marvin Jones, and Evan Ingram stays in the field in both scenarios. So I like it, Evan Ingram there, But it depends. If you're really bullish on Watson coming back, I could see a case for Njoku. But those are both two guys I'm interested in, quite honestly. Just Ingram a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to catch the ball, right? Like Evan Ingram doesn't do that too well, but Njoku, I think is going to be my pick.
You got to earn the targets. It's a point. You get points per target. You get
negative
points for everything.
Maybe in the future SFB, maybe in like SFB 14. But no, I mean, I like Njoku's offense. He showed that he was efficient. You have a rookie wide receiver who might need some time to develop. You have an outside field stretch from Donovan Peoples shows that's been great. And then you have a new guy to the offense. Meanwhile, Njoku knows the offense probably better than anybody that's in it currently. And we have a mobile quarterback who's going to be looking for that outlet pass if he ends up seeing pressure up the sideline. I like Njoku this season. I think he's going to absolutely tear it up. And, I kind of like Harrison Bryant as well. Not over Evan Ingram, but I think Harrison Bryant should be at least monitored or starred in your leagues. And if you see a higher snap percentage, I think he needs to be picked up. All right, let's go with – oh, my God. Let's go with Cameron Brate or Brevin Jordan. Do Brevin Jordan and Rob Gronkowski have the same ADP?
I'll take Brevin Jordan. Cameron Brate fucking sucks. He played 5 games last year when Rob Gronkowski was out, and he did nothing. He didn't score 10 points in any one of those games. I don't understand the fascination with Cameron Brate. Greg Auman was on a Good Football Show as a beat reporter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he said that if they, they're going to take a look at Brate and at Cade Otton in camp. They haven't gotten a chance to see Cade Otton yet because he's been dealing with an injury. They're going to look at them in camp, and they're going to consider adding a veteran tight end. He mentioned both Jared Cook and Eric Ebron as names that they would potentially look at. That could turn it into a gross 3-way committee. And then even if they do just stay with Brate and Otton, first of all, Brate's got to beat out Otton. And second of all, even if Brate's running all the routes, he sucks. He can't play football. Don't take him.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd, how people are considering Brate. Watching him on Underdog once Rob Gronkowski retired. I was like, "What are you guys doing? You guys are rushing the wave or rushing to the Underdog just to draft Cameron Brate." It's like, dude, get out of here with that shit. It's bad. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here, Jacob. I've got an Angels game to go to, of course. We've hit the hour mark. Let's let everybody know where to find you and your content, what you're doing.
Yeah, check me out on Twitter, FF_RTDB. We'll be drafting in the Scott Fish Bowl on Sunday in Vancouver at the American, 12 p.m. So follow along. I'll be certainly on Twitter throughout the entirety of that. I already have some fun ideas. I'm probably going to live stream some of my pick announcements potentially. I'll definitely get a lot of photos of the event. I'll obviously post all my picks on Twitter. I'm going to be there with Drew. I'm meeting him in person for the first time, so I'm pretty pumped up for that. I won our segment on the Full Tilt show yesterday, so if you want to check out our Full Tilt podcast with Drew, the DF Bean Counter, you can check that out, which means that I get to pick his drinks on Saturday night when I meet him in person. So I'm definitely going to send out some embarrassing photos when I get him.
Rumplemints.
What's this?
Rumplemints. Get him Rumplemints.
What's Rumplemints?
What? You've never had a Rumpletini, Jacob?
I've never had a Rumpletini. Let's close on this. What's a Rumpletini?
Oh my God, it's delicious. It's 3 ounces of straight Rumplemints. That's all it is. It's just deliciousness.
Okay, what's Rumplemints?
It's something that bartenders drink when they get off work because we, barely make it for last call, or we don't have time to drink. It allows us to get a little tipsy before we end up heading home. But it's 100 proof, and it's peppermint.
Oh.
It's also known as the hooker's toothbrush because you can wake up and take a shot of it and your breath smells fine because it's peppermint. But it's delicious, and it messes up a lot of people's lives.
Okay. Maybe I'll get to Rumplemints.
It's funny.
What's the most painful drink that you've ever had, commonly? Not like a joke drink or whatever, but that you've seen
not
on
like
a menu.
Cement mixer. That I've seen on a menu?
Yeah. Well, or had someone make for you, whatever. Yeah.
I've done craft cocktails for a long time. So I've seen a lot of stuff. An Episcopal is it'll mess you up pretty bad. And that's not a joke drink. That's actually a cocktail. Corpse drivers are pretty strong overall, but those are all craft cocktails. So if you're looking to get somebody messed up, and this is somewhat used as a joke drink, a Four Horsemen is something that you can order, and it's a normal thing at a bar.
Oh God, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yep. That's still more of like a 21st birthday shot, which you never want to get to your friends.
Why don't you tell the people what's in it?
Oh, it's Jim, Johnny, Jack, and Jameson. Or you could do Jim, Jack, Jose, and Jameson if they don't have Johnny. But then that's just you're switching Scotch for tequila. It's never going to end up well, regardless of what it is. But it's about a half ounce or a quarter ounce, depending on where you go, in each in a shot.
So
and
good.
It's warm, and it will tear your insides up, of course, and it doesn't even taste good. But no, if you want to get somebody fucked up, order them a shot of Rumplements. Hopefully they have it. It's either got to be that or even the real hooker's toothbrush, which is Ice 101. That'll mess you up real bad.
Oh, God, I love it. Mine for sure. We had this drop shot.
But you can send me a picture of the drink cocktail.
I will.
Of the drink list. Get the drink list and post it, and then tag me in it so I can see it, and then I'll tell you which one to order for them all night. Let's go.
I will do that for sure. We had this drop shot that we served at our campus bar when I was on the student union, and it wasn't on the menu, but it was just like the staff all knew what it was, and it was like our hub drop shot. They couldn't put it on the menu because they banned Bacardi 151 in Canada eventually.
Yeah, it's closed. Bacardi's done making it.
Yeah, but we still had a bunch, so we had a thing where it's like if you knew that you could order this drink, that you could still get it because we had a ton in our warehouse. But you had to just order it off menu and then they'd make it for you. And so we would do we made it a drop shot where it was like a 2-ounce shot glass that was split in half between Bacardi 151 and absinthe, and then we would drop it in our hub lager, which was like this disgusting, gross ass crap beer that was made, aka was the dregs of all the other beer from the bottom of the kegs, essentially. We would serve it for anyways, you get that. And I had 5 of them in my life after celebratory occasions, and 3 of the 5 times I just instantly puked. The second hit the back of my throat, it was just immediately gone.
Grain absinthe even worse. Grain absinthe is oh god, that's 130 proof or something insane. You have absinthe and then you have grain absinthe. Grain absinthe's nuts.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
That's a good.
I'm gonna get out of here. We have some big news coming up. We have some connections that we made, and we're very excited to announce that next week.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the week after. I got to check with the company that we're doing it with. We just need to figure out the time and get all that down. We're very excited to announce that in the upcoming weeks. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button on the YouTube page, of course, and check us out. Thank you guys for listening. And thank you all for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life. We're out.